Hello, everybody. We're going to apologize, first of all, for getting 7 or 8 minutes late. We had some technical transmission snafus. Snafus mean situation normal, and now all fouled up. That's a snafu. That's not a legal thing. That's just a thing. I am Judge Dawn. My co-host and the creator of All As the Law Turn is Judge Vivian. We're here every week, 7 o'clock, to discuss legal and legal related issues, with the goal being, Judge Vivian's goal when she created As the Law Turn, is to increase minority participation in legal and legal related fields. We are trial attorneys. That means we practice in trials, in court, and pick juries and do arguments in court. But the purpose of this program is to increase minority participation. You don't have to be a trial attorney. You can be what we call a transactional attorney, like Judge Vivian. That means she does contracts, mergers, trademarks, and not necessarily in trial. Corporation formation, not necessarily in trial. It may result in trial, but we are trial attorneys, and we want you to participate and create. Now, the format of this show is we pick a topic. We want you to pick a topic, but we picked the topic this week, and we want you to phone in and comment about the topics that we choose, or the one that you choose and we choose together. Okay, so the topic this week is Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas' wife. And like Judge Vivian has explained before in the pre-show, that the Supreme Court Justice is the highest justice in the land. If you want to appeal, that means that lower level judge has done something wrong. You take it to a next court. And the highest court in this land is Justice of the Supreme Court. Justices are a lifetime tenure. They don't get fired. They may get impeached, but they don't get fired. They can kind of do what they want to do. And they're appointed for life, president, and confirmed by the Senate. The Senate Judiciary may. Okay. And once they're there, federal judges, not state level judges like I was, a county level judge. Once they're there for life. So, Judge Vivian, what is the story behind maybe Justice Clarence Thomas's wife?
So apparently, Justice Thomas, by the way, I didn't even know her name, so now I do. Virginia Thomas was alleged to have been at, near, around, participated, involved, connected. We in there somewhere with the involvement of the storming, barging, forging of the.
That's it. Shame on you.
That was real simple. I know. I was. So if you go to the Justices of the United States of America, you see the black one. That's it.
That's him.
He is up now to possibly have some issues happening concerning his job because of his wife. Now there is no rumor, because right now it's an alleged. We don't know enough. It just hit the paper because it's salacious and sensational. It's alleged. Right now, there is no allegations of his participation, involvement, connection, the throw out knowledge, nothing. But people calling for his position right now. And my question that I had to this is, and I'm curious of what our viewers may have and how you think about it. My question is, ladies and gentlemen here, do you think that justices' spouses' responsibility is the judge's also responsibility? If there is, as there currently is, no connection, knowledge, involvement, participation, thoughts, allegations of the judge themselves being involved in said action.
Should we be scrutinizing, questioning, evaluating, investigating a sitting judge? I'm going to say either sitting judge, president, lower level judge, because of his or her spouse involvement, knowledge, lack of involvement, lack of knowledge in some issue. And the reason we're being so careful of the words, because words in law mean a lot. And Judge Vivian was not struggling for words because she's very fluent with her words, but the difference between involved, surrounding, participating, alleged to participate is a difference that makes a difference. So when we say, when we kind of stumble over the words, we're being careful because we really don't know what the allegations are. There is some conversation that she was at a place with President Trump. I don't know how close they were, talking, not talking, but they were in the same vicinity or the same rally or the same atmosphere or the same room or the same meeting prior to the siege, the disruption on the Capitol. And so the question is, should Justice Clarence Thomas or anyone else in that position be responsible or scrutinized because of his wife's activities or in alleged activities? Understand, when I researched, not only she was there, she's very involved. She's a lobbyist or a political activist, or she's not just like, I'm Justice Clarence Thomas' wife, that's the reason I got involved. She is a strong woman in her own right. And so based on that, what is your opinion about whether this should shine any light or dim the light of Justice Clarence Thomas? I don't know.
I don't know either. I was about to say that. Well, I think I'm stuck on this one because I recognize that in elections or elected judges, that stuff is always called into play. Family members, and sometimes they go and get the family member from 13,000 years back and be like, I remember when you was connected to, what's his name? You just sitting there like,
huh?
What they got to do with?
We ate lunch together one time. Yes. Yes.
So I realized that apparently it does have some importance to people, or people wouldn't allow it to continue being a part of the political process. And I say that because, let's face it, you run for president or any other position, people come after you like white on rice. And I be looking at it. I don't appreciate it, but clearly it has some public connection, some public acceptance.
And there's a fancy word we use called vetting. Kind of investigating or digging and probing into someone's background. So Supreme Court justices are heavily vetted before the Senate approves their, and before the president even nominates. That means every time they bounce to check, every dorm they slept in, just like when we were a member of the Florida bar, they went back on every apartment we lived in, every credit card, late payment, every sorority or fraternity they were in. The Florida bar wanted to know it all. That's just for local attorneys. So my question is, didn't Clarence Thomas' wife get vetted way before this happened?
Here's my problem, though. Even though I get the vetting process, who would have thought that people would have stormed the Capitol? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not like this is something that had happened in the past that could be vetted, if that makes sense. This didn't seem like just something that would happen in the future anyway. So it was like, I don't think it could have been a part of the vetting process. That's what I guess I'm going to say here. And then because I think of it that way, then it brings me back once again to my question of, how do we characterize what the spouse or family members of other political people, figures, judges, justices do?
Well, I would presume in a marriage or relationship, you either love and respect someone that's like you, or love and respect the person that's not like you, but respect and uphold their values, uphold their right to do this. For example, whether I believe in abortion, marijuana, death penalty or not, do I respect your right to believe abortion, death penalty, marijuana? So if Clarence Thomas is married to a woman who doesn't maybe respect the process, because I don't think a Donald Trump and his supporters just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be disruptive. I'm going to have a disruptive personality. This is the kind of thing people say, I knew it. I knew it. When that boy was in 7th grade, I should have seen it. And so I'm thinking, if Ms. Thomas was close enough to be invited to a Trump get together and rally, you kind of know people, And I'm not saying who would have thunk someone would storm the Capitol. But don't you kind of know? Are you really that surprised? I mean, really?
With America, no. I'm not surprised.
No.
However, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I just feel like I'm betwixt on this one because I agree with you. Could this have been seen coming?
I think small differences in personalities and political views should not be scrutinized. He's a Republican. His wife is a left-wing Republican or right-wing Republican. He's a moderate Republican. Whatever. She's a bra-burning Republican, and he's a right-wing Democrat. Those differences. Okay, so your wife is a bra-burning Republican, and you knew that something about her values, her knowledge attracted you and was okay to you enough for you to marry and share your life with. I don't know. Maybe you should be looked at in another vein. Will the real Clarence Thomas please stand up? Is the real Clarence Thomas you or your wife or the combination of both? Who is really this Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas? I don't know. So to answer, should the activities of a spouse be kind of put on or looked at on the sitting justice? I think they should at least be looked at least be examined, at least, things that make you go, okay, maybe it's something here with a little smoke. Maybe there's fire. We'll look at it. The other question I have, the articles indicate that they don't talk about stuff. They just don't. So you didn't know your wife was at the rally? We've been investigating for a month. You didn't have the responsibility to step up and say to the federal investigations, by the way, my wife was at the pre-rally. It may mean nothing, but it may mean something. And so I want to tell you, I'm a lawyer of highest caliber. I'm a Supreme Court justice. I know about information and information trails and chain of custody and how things get to be where they're going to be. So you do it to information what you want to do with it. But my wife was at least there.
I didn't think of that take, but that's an interesting take. That did he have a duty or responsibility to give information about an ongoing federal investigation? Didn't consider that. New thought.
So I would say that Clarence Thomas is a little guilty of something, and I think the government should at least pull the layer back just a little bit and kind of see what's going on. I don't want to make a broad statement about everything because I was married. I was a judge for 14 years. I was married to a person that really didn't take involvement in the political process. He just didn't. And so I wouldn't want anybody to kind of hold me accountable for his actions. But that's kind of in the same realms. People don't vote for a lot of reasons. And he just didn't. He just kind of what my vote doesn't count kind of thing. Anyway, so that's my take on that one.
I'm gonna stay a little neutral on this one, just because I feel like I agree with you on a large part. Then it does bring up some other good questions. But then again, we're also in the middle of a new Supreme Court battle, so I'm hoping that it doesn't end up overshadowing the fact that we're trying to get more representation of color on the bench. That being said, we're going to segue right into topic number 2.
Love it.
Now, this one, baby, if you have not been following the story, then you do not watch Empire. And if you do not watch Empire, then you are under a rock. And if you've been under a rock, I'm joking. I'm so joking. And the reason why I'm joking is because I don't watch Empire.
Really? Well, I don't watch it now. I don't even know if it's still on now. I have
no idea.
But everybody knows this guy.
I saw like 2 episodes, and then I was like, "Yeah, tapped out. I'm out."
Good acting. It
wasn't good for
drama,
me.
But greedy in drama. But
it wasn't.
Really?
It went for me. I love me some Taraji P. Henson.
Yes.
Terrence Howard's not bad in my book list of actors. I didn't know much about Jussie and some of the other younger actors at the time. But we now know Jussie Smollett because
everybody knows. Yes.
A couple years, last year, was it before the pandemic? I think it was before the pandemic.
I think it was, the pandemic started February 2 years ago. I think it was.
The pandemic has taken so many years, we cannot remember where we are.
I don't know. So I'm thinking right around pandemic time.
I believe it may have been pre-ish because we were still out and about, I thought.
Oh, maybe.
I don't remember.
Was that upon out and about upon Jussie Smollett? He was out and anyway. Okay.
No, it wasn't. We were out at that time, and apparently during this time, Jussie Smollett reported that he had experienced a hate crime of someone not only calling him the N-word and other slurs, also homophobic slurs, but also using a noose, if I'm not mistaken, to threaten him and his life. He ran for his life, apparently reported this incident. They went through the incident, investigated the incident. It was like, nah, that ain't happening. And then he was like, but I'm not lying. And then a whole bunch of stuff started to come out, and we was all confused. And I'm still confused. And then
and the perpetrator said, okay, let me, the gig's up. Okay, Jussie paid me to do this.
Exactly.
It was like, I've never seen you. How, what? Yeah.
And then there was some amnesia that went on between both parties. And then trial. I know, all of that chaos. And then all of a sudden, the state was like, we coming for you. Which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and point this out. Yes, this is our moment in law. The state can come for you for making false reports or false allegations. The more simplistic version of this is when you call 911 for fake. So if you get on the phone and be like, hello, this is 911. I just wanted to call you because I thought it was cool. You can get in trouble for that. That's a misdemeanor in the state of Florida, which means you can go to jail. It's punishable by 12 months in a state jail, county jail.
County jail.
I don't know what's going on with me today. 12 months on probation and or any combination of the three with $1,000 fine. So I'm like, okay, it's bad enough, but apparently. And this I didn't know, but I found out because, read books. When you allege other portions of it, such as the slurs, or you make it into a quote unquote hate crime, it increases the penalty.
Didn't know that.
Get. And so that's what happened to Jussie here. Jussie, I think his name is Jussie, my bad. That's what happened to him here. And so he got a trial. Went through the whole process, judicial process, had some jurors. They did not show us the jurors. In a lot of public cases, they tend to keep the jurors hidden, but they do generally talk about whether it's diverse or not diverse. We didn't hear anything about its lack of diversity in this particular instance, which I am kind of shocked by. I'm going to go ahead and say that. But during this time, he was found guilty of all charges, if I'm not mistaken. And during that, he was sentenced to probation, but the first 150 days, so that's approximately, for those like myself who don't do math, but was a public defender for 5 years, so she know how that works. 5 months of jail time is what he was sentenced to, plus probation. Those of you who are trying to figure out, can that happen? That's a big fat YES with an exclamation point. And so he gets into it by only a month, but his lawyers are like me, a little bit annoying to the system because that's my job. And they was like, nah, he need to get out. 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 Get him out. Get him out. Get him out. And the judge was finally like, I believe you. I agree with you. Let's let him out. He was released.
But the state said there was no really legal reason to let him out. Not criticizing the judge. The state said, yeah, judge, he's afraid for his life because people are homophobic in jail and racist in jail. That's not really a legal reason to let him out. Everybody's afraid for life. Every homosexual, every Black person, everyone, everybody's afraid for life. But the judge, in the judge's infinite wisdom, he or she let Mr. Smollett out pending his appeal.
Yes. Now, for those who didn't know, during this time, he was actually placed in solitary confinement. Solitary confinement literally means what it sounds like. He was in a room by himself. Nobody else was in there. So if he wanted to talk, he was going to talk to himself and God. And so I personally think that was actually more of the reason why the judge did it. I think it was slightly legal. And let me tell you how I think the judge is kind of thinking of it. So when we're going through appeals process or bonding out or all of that, the judge's biggest reason for keeping you in a cell or a sentence when there's something on the table, because I'm not going to explain all of the appeal process to y'all, because y'all ain't going to understand that.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's too long. And there's different even involvement and levels of it. So the easiest thing is when the case is still open, because that's what happens when the appeal is there. It's still kind of open. Mm-hmm. It's kind of closed, but then it's like a situationship. You in it, but you're not quite in it.
You got 30 days to tell me if I'm doing something wrong. My case is kind of closed, kind of, sort of.
Exactly. So within this 30-day period, what I believe happened is what a lot of judges probably noticed. They probably noticed something a little hinky happened during this trial. They was probably like, yeah, y'all didn't play the radio the whole way y'all was supposed to, state. There is a little something here, and I'm going to give the defense the benefit of the doubt from what I saw in a prior issue. The judges, the jurors, the state, the defense get to see everything we as the people don't see. They're just not going to tell us all of that. And it's largely because, cameras aren't in there 24/7, although they do have public access to most trials, and they're trying to make it most efficient for the court and for the person. So there is likely something, I believe, this is just my thoughts, this ain't nobody else, nobody's paying me for this. I believe that there was maybe something a little hinky that the judge thinks may actually have decent appealable processing, and was like, let me try to pull a, you know what I'm saying, Judge?
Yeah, because there's the judges are supposed to be the last gatekeeper of justice. The defense presents their case, prosecution of the state presents their case, the jury makes a decision, and the judge he or she really tries to respect the jury's verdict. But in some cases, the judge, after thought and having argument of counsel again, appeal counsel, you say, you know what? I'm uncomfortable with this too. I was saying the state said the judge had no reason to grant the freedom pending appeal because Smollett really didn't have a legal reason. I don't know what the reason was, what the judge, hung his or her hat on. But I agree. Sometimes to correct it, the judge says, you know what? I'm really not comfortable. Sometimes, we make decisions, either trial attorneys, prosecutors, judges, public defenders, state attorney, that we think we're feeling good, but because we're not there, the jury is not there, we kind of have to believe what the witnesses tell us. But sometimes it just doesn't pass the smell test all the way to the point that we're really comfortable. And Judge Vivian and I have both had situations that guilty verdict shouldn't be, or not guilty, that was uncomfortable. I don't think that should be that way. But if a judge has a way to kind of correct it, if you will, while still respecting the jury's verdict, this may be one way. Just kind of, like you said, just let the appeals court kind of tweak it for us. And I don't mind the appeals court telling me I'm wrong. Prosecutors don't mind. Well, sometimes prosecutors mind the appeal court telling me they're wrong. So that's how this is the best system we got.
And don't get us wrong. We're not saying that they're trying to stop you, the jurors, from having the judicial process. We're saying that there may have been something also hinky within the process that didn't quite follow. And I know that sounds, kind of like what Judge said, trying to rectify, but it's a good thing this can happen. And I say that even if it sometimes negatively impacts the current sitting person, or positively impacts a person you may not like, you want the system to try to get better and better. And so that means the judges, counselors on both sides are going to have to pull those ugly looking cards sometimes, those not quite understandable cards sometimes, and say, hey, let's make the system work. We don't like this person. Man, Nobody's saying that. Or we do love this person or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But the system it's somebody throw a monkey wrench. Let's go get the wrench out.
Right.
And so you want it to work so that it'll work in the future. And so that it'll continue to work better and better and better and better and better. So for those that are bucking this right now, thinking that I don't know. We don't know what happened in the background. What we do know, though, is that it's been done. And I can tell you that in the history of my experience, in the history of many of the experiences of several of my colleagues whom I've known who've been defense counselors in murder trials, I mean murder, like premeditated murder. It is the hardest thing, one of the hardest, I would say probably top 5 things to get a judge to release you after sentence. So the fact that it happened already implants to my mind, ooh, something was in that. Something wasn't so nice or clean in that water, because it's so, I mean, people often say difficult as pulling teeth. I have to go even farther to say the difficulty level of a judge allowing someone out of jail following a sentence of jail. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, this happens to famous people all the time. Not entirely.
No.
The news and the media does kind of misrepresent sometimes the way these sentences are thrown down. Attorneys know what's happening. A lot of times you hear them saying 30 to 40 years. I'm going to go ahead and tell you there's no such thing as 30 to 40 years. You get a number.
Yeah.
Because they can't, just give you a range. It doesn't work that way. That would be unconstitutional. So it makes me to believe there's something in here that needs to be tweaked. And it's like, let's see what we can do.
And to ensure the safety of the public and respect Mr. Smollett's right, because he may be found not guilty. Typically, the judges, I don't know what happened in this situation. Typically, the judges set some conditions on this release. A supersedious bond or $10,000 or
stay at your house.
Stay in your house, your visa, your passport, no travel outside the state, check with probation, pretrial release every week or every other week. So there's some things that protect the public and respecting Mr. Smollett's right. That would surprise me at the appeal. I didn't watch the trial. I just watched the outcry. Like everybody was saying, she should have been convicted. He should have been convicted. The way he misused the system, and then he didn't do really impressive when the judge was sentencing him. I respect you, judge. But I did not do this. I didn't. Come on, Jussie, you're acting. Come on, stop.
Well, that's what movies are for. Yeah. So that being said, I don't know. I think it's a neat idea what happened. I think it's interesting what happened. I would like to follow this case a little more closely now. I had stopped following it at one point because I thought it got buried in all the other hatchets, in all honesty. But I'll probably be back on this one. I'll probably pull this one out in a segment, later. We'll see what happens, y'all.
Now, if you do or do not want us to talk about Smollett again, you need to tell us. We're here for you. We're not just here for us. I mean, we love what we're doing, but you need to contact us and Judge Vivian to tell you how, because I'm not all there. You go, DM, whatever DM is, send us a DM. Okay. Follow us on YouTube, whatever that means, and Twitter us, whatever that means too. Participate. We want you to participate to As the Law Turns. You've just look at Judge Vivian Williams' Facebook and you can follow the link. Okay. And leave a comment, leave a question. We want to hear from you. We want you to interact with us. This is a good show, and we're open to sometimes not strictly legal topics. Just because we, think some things are curious in life that, but we have legal topics. We do try to sprinkle a little law in there so you can kind of know what's going on, so you can follow us. So we appreciate any time you can give us, any comment that you give us. We're just doing this for a love of law. We're doing this for the love of the profession. Only 5% of lawyers in the United States are African-American, Judge Vivian, and 3% are female, or 2% are female. There you go.
2% are female and 3% are Black males. So, guys, we love the show. As Judge just said, we're excited that you joined us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, even in our little technical difficulties, but we still made it out. It's been a pleasure being with you tonight. We're going to have some great topics and a wonderful addition to our team next week because we have another lawyer on. I'm excited. Nice. Go like us on Facebook, as the judge mentioned. Follow us on YouTube. Send us a DM to let us know what you want to talk about. If you got anything that's pressing, if you have your own life situation things, because we could talk about those too. Now,
Yes.
we're not gonna say your name. We don't do that to you.
We're not going to give you legal advice, but we can talk about the topic.
Exactly. And that's the ticking banner at the bottom. I am not your attorney. This does not create attorney-client privilege, and we are not. See how I did that? But y'all have a wonderful night. Don't
Thank you so much.
Share
Thank you.
And as I always say, if you love us, let somebody else know. Bye.